Writing is so hard. How can you get someone to help you write your novel? We're going to talk about that today. So if you are interested in getting some help with writing your novel, then this is the right video for you.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julie Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julie Amante. I'm a women's fiction author, and I also give you some tips on how to write. So today we're going to talk about getting some help with your book. And I see things all the time, now that social media is such a big thing, right? You probably have seen ads all the time on, how to, I'm going to help you write your novel, or you can write your novel in a week or a month, and there's a free challenge for you, and not to knock those things. I think they're great, and I think that people give free advice all the time. I'm giving free advice all the time, and it's helpful. Hopefully my advice is helpful. And I haven't done a lot of those. I did like one of those where I didn't actually do the whole challenge, but I thought, okay, I'm curious about what this is. So I clicked on it and I did like a day of it or something. And I thought, okay, this is nice, but it's a lot of hype, to tell you the absolute truth, right? It's writing is hard work. It takes a lot of time to write a book. Not that you can't write a book in a week or a month. You probably can if that's all you did. I could not write a book in a week. I could not do that. So I don't know what they mean by writing a book in a week and telling people that they can do that, because I've been writing for like over 25 years now, like 28 years or so. There's no way that even if I didn't sleep, I could write an entire book that would actually be worth reading in a week. I could write an outline. I could write I could write a really good outline, right? I could have details of what I want to have in those chapters and have an idea. But as far as having like a book just completely written, no way, right? I can't do that. So in a month, yeah, right, maybe, because that's a lot of time and you have actually time to think about it. But again, this is for somebody who has nothing else to do and can just sit and write. And so that might be possible. But anyhow, what I want to say is that writing is hard, and it does take time and it takes effort. It's not like something that you're just going to spit out and it's going to be out there in the world. But you can get help. You can get real help, not not these kind of, like big games, let's do this and you're going to get a book done. So let's talk about the people that can really help you, and how you can find them. Okay, so the first, I guess, thing we can think about is having somebody that is, whatever name you want to call it, whether it's a coach or a mentor or a teacher, that can help you to write your book. That can help you, again, and when I say help you to write your book, you're writing your book. Nobody's going to write your book for you, unless you get a ghostwriter, and then you're not really writing your book. Somebody else is writing your book. But assuming that you want to write your book, nobody's going to do it for you. So what do mentors, coaches, teachers do? Well, they do a variety of things. They inspire you. They encourage you. They teach you some skills. Some of them may read some of your work and give you some feedback, some of them, but that's, again, that's a lot more work. But depending on what it is, if you might be taking some kind of course where you do have a writing teacher who is teaching you certain things and then reading your work, that's super helpful, because then you're taking the time. Let's say you're taking like a 16-week course, right? And you're getting a little bit of feedback. You're learning a skill. You're practicing that skill, and then you are getting some feedback. That is wonderful. Or if you have a coach, or you have some kind of professional who is, again, encouraging you, where they're checking in on you to making sure that you're finishing, that you can talk about anything that you might be feeling, from doubt to all the things that authors feel when they're writing, discouragement or fear, or all the things that we tend to feel. So hiring a professional is great if you can afford it. So these kind of people can help you, again, because they're not just like throwing a bunch of just like buzz words at you and then saying, okay, go out, and then you're done. They're actually really taking the time to help you, and you are paying them to do that. And so, of course, they're going to hopefully deliver what you want. But what if you can't afford that? You can still have other writers, okay? So you can have maybe somebody else who's also a writer who needs encouragement. You can help each other. That is definitely valuable because you can get feedback from them. So maybe, you're writing a chapter, they're writing a chapter, then you share your chapters, you give each other some feedback on what you each have written, or you just have somebody to call and say, oh, my novel isn't going anywhere. I need, I'm not feeling it, or, whatever. And then you can have somebody to talk to. They can encourage you, and they've been at the same place you've been. And sometimes that is super helpful too. So just having someone else, right, to bounce ideas off of, or just to call if you're not feeling very enthusiastic about your story, or you're wondering if you should even continue with the story. So having a friend, and usually a writer friend is nice because they know what you're talking about. Where if you called another friend who's not a writer, or maybe you talk to a spouse, they're not probably going to be as helpful because they're not doing what you're doing. So it's very hard for non-writers to be able to really help writers because they're not there. They haven't felt like I couldn't help somebody in a different field that I didn't understand. I could like say, I'm sorry, or I hope you feel better. I hope it comes to you. But right, I'm trying to solve this mathematical equation and I just can't do it. Well, good luck with that, right? I can't do much more than that, but I can help another writer. So find somebody that either a professional, or find a friend that you can work through your story together with. Okay, so what if you can't afford a professional and you don't really have a writing friend? My next suggestion is to find a writing group. You can go to online and find writer groups. You can also, I know there's like going to Meetup sometimes. Writers will post there that they meet. And sometimes these writer groups, there are different ones, right? So some of them are like critique groups where you will critique each other's work. Some of them are just writer groups where you get together and kind of share the stories that you are working on. And it's more of a networking or encouragement type of group. So, you can find the type of group that you want and the group that you like. But the whole idea is feeling that you are not alone, that you can get advice from maybe somebody in the group has read a book that they can recommend and say, hey, read this book. This is really a great book. Or maybe they can recommend a video like mine and say, watch this video because there's some free advice there. Or maybe, you never know, right? So in groups, when you are among people who are doing the same thing you're doing, it's so much nicer because you feel supported and you feel like you can get some advice. I belonged to a critique group for quite a while back when I was first starting out, and it was helpful in many ways. I had people read my work and tell me how they felt, and those were my first readers. So it was nice, and it also, it also got me out of my shell of actually sharing my work. Because when I first started writing, I didn't want to share my work. I didn't want anybody else to read it. I think I was there a whole year before I actually took something of mine to have people read, and I was scared, to death that they would tell me it was terrible. And so it was nice just to be able to start feeling like I can share my work and find other writers that knew things. And they, some of them recommended the classes and courses. In fact, one of the critique ladies that were there also taught a course, like an evening adult class in writing, and I took her class. So you can learn a lot by being in groups. My only word of caution with belonging to a writing group is that there's a huge tendency to write only what the group is going to like, right? So once you start getting feedback from the group members, you might feel like I'm writing for the group. So you're not co-writing, you're writing your story, and your group members are giving you advice and their feelings toward your story, but they are not writing your book. You're writing your book. So you're not co-writing with your group members. So don't let that happen. If you feel like that's happening, or you feel like you have been in this group for a while and now you're kind of stuck writing only the stories that they like, that they'll understand, and you want to write something different, then maybe it's time to leave the group and find something else, or just start to work on your own. So just don't let yourself fall into that where you are kind of trapped writing for the group. All right, the next place where you can definitely get help is going to conferences or workshops. And these are, I can't say enough great things about conferences and workshops. I don't think I would be a writer today if I hadn't gone to a lot of these workshops and a lot of these conferences, because it does so many things for you. First of all, you can attend the workshops and learn things, take classes and learn things from other writers, from agents, from editors, all the people that are presenting. But I think that the deeper thing that happens at these conferences is that you are surrounded by other writers. You get to meet other writers, befriend them, find groups, find writing partners, or critique partners. So if now you're like, I have no other friends that I could talk to and share my story, well, go to a conference, because you will find people there. And it also is very inspirational. When you go to these conferences, you come home very inspired to write your story, to continue writing. You don't feel alone. You feel you feel inspired. You feel excited. You get to experience all kinds of wonderful things, and it's just, I can't say enough great things about it. If you haven't been to a writers' conference, or you haven't been to a workshop, kind of a larger multi-day workshops, I absolutely recommend them. I think that this is a great place to learn from other people, and where people can help you. You can probably meet editors and meet agents there. They, depending on the type of conference you go to, sometimes editors and agents will take appointments where you can pitch your story to them if you're at that point. But there's just amazing things that happen during conferences. At the very least, you just go and have a really great time and learn a lot from the workshops that are there. So again, this isn't free. Obviously, there's a little expense to it. If you pay to get there, pay for the hotel, and pay for the conference. But I used to save like all year to go to a yearly conference, and then sometimes I went to smaller conferences as well. But it was well worth my time, because I kept thinking, this is an investment in my future. It's an investment in my writing career, and plus it was fun, and I got to go see new places. So I really, really love, can you tell? I really love conferences. So I do suggest that you go to those. Okay, so let's talk now about other experts. So not just writers, but what about people like editors? Yes, you editors are great. So if you are at a point where you've finished your book, honestly, you can hire an editor at any time in your writing process, but most people will hire an editor at the end when they're finished with their story and they need to revise it. So editors can absolutely help you to create a better book, a better story. You need to shop around. Not all editors are great. Not somebody that just says they're an editor and they're really just somebody who loves to read books. They could be a great editor, but that doesn't mean that they are. So they should have some experience. I've worked with independently now as an independent author. I've worked with a couple of editors. Both have been great. Both were my editors when I was selling traditional novels. So, selling my books to traditional publishers, I should say. So I knew them. I knew that they were good. I knew that they knew what they were doing and that I could trust them. But if you don't know, personally an editor, there are a lot of editors that you can find online. Just ask people, ask for recommendations, and I'm sure that you will get recommendations of people that are good. But editors, again, they're not free. They do cost, and some of them can be very costly. So you do need to have, you need to be aware of that and to be able to maybe save a little bit of money to pay for that. But you can get advice from them, right? You can hire editors and you can get advice on how your book at least does it there's different types of editors. So there's developmental editors that'll tell you if your story is developing well, if you have developed a good story that is that is paced well, that the heroes and the heroines are protagonists are behaving authentically, if they're behaving like consistent to the personality that you stated at the beginning. Are they changing? Is there any other things that you've changed through the story, like their hair color or things like that? They will catch things like that. They'll talk to you about that. They'll edit that. So editors are good. There's also editors that focus more on grammar and all of that if you need that. So you can find editors. Editors are definitely helpful, and they can help writers. Okay, can an agent help you? Absolutely. I actually created a whole other video that I can link below about agents. So again, agents can be good, can be not so good. So you do need to shop around. You need to find the right agent for the type of story that you're writing, but they can absolutely help you to sell your story. So when you get to that point in the process, having an agent is almost crucial depending on who you're going to write, right? But who the publisher that you want to target is. So if you want a traditional publisher that only works with agents, you absolutely need an agent. So that agents can help you. They can help you sell. They can also help you to to write your story better. So they will read your story and they will give you some feedback on things that they want to change or things that they suggest you change before they sell the story. So it becomes an agent becomes your writing partner. So again, it's very nice and it's very useful to have an agent if you choose to sell to traditional publishers. Now, if you choose to self-publish, you don't need an agent, and you have no use for an agent because you're publishing your own book. But you do need other people, so you do need that editor. You also will need somebody to help you, probably, unless you do it yourself, is to create your book cover, maybe to format your book. So having a cover designer, hiring a cover designer, they can help you to create a nice cover. If you need help with, again, formatting your book so that you can load it up to Amazon and all these other places, Barnes and Noble, right? So that you can do. So you can hire somebody to help you format. So there are a lot of people that can help you with the creation of your book. Depends on how much money you have. You can hire a publicist. You can do all kinds of, there's a lot of other people that will help you with sort of the production and marketing of your book as well, which is really just maybe another video that I could make. But focusing more on writing, probably this would end right with that, with the editor, with your agent, where you're now done with the writing and now you're into the selling and marketing of your book. And again, that's a whole other group of people that can help you if you need that help. However, what my big point here with this video is that writing, although we seem to think it is, it's not a solo profession. You're not working by yourself, except for the small amount of time, well, the large small amount of time that you're sitting there writing. Of course, you're spending a lot of time by yourself with your characters and your story, but there's a lot of people that you can reach out to and get help along the way. You don't have to do everything by yourself, and really it's very difficult to do everything by yourself. It's nice to have other people to work with and to share with, and at some point you may or may decide that you don't need that anymore. But I know like multi-published writers that still have their critique partners and critique groups, and they talk to other writers. And then I know writers that don't, right? Writers that really just work on their own, and then until they get to the point where they need to share their story with an editor and so forth. So, but it's not, it's never all by yourself to create your story. You do need other people, and it's nice to have help. It's nice to get help when you need it. So hopefully this helps, and it gets you to think a little bit about the different people along your journey that can help you if you need help. Hopefully you understand now that it does take a while to create your book, and that it should. You wouldn't want to just rush through something just to put something out there that you haven't thought about and that you haven't taken the time to perfect and rewrite and really make a nice product for your reader. So I hope that this gives you something to think about. I hope this helps. And if it does, please hit the like, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel, come back next Friday and see my next video. And I will see you then. Bye-bye.